Okay, yeah, we're coming over here. We're starting on the southwest corner of the property. We're going to go counterclockwise around the home. This is a brick-clad home. It's a stick-built house on brick-clad. This is a monolithic slab foundation. Probably is not post-tension. It's probably rebar. I don't know. I'm just going to leave monolithic slab foundation. That's all I'm required to say. I'd like to say more, but you know, I'm left with that. Okay, these bushes next to the house, these aren't as bad, but it's only going to be a week. In a week you're going to be cutting this off of here. The windows look like they're original. They appear to be original. We got a lot of cracking and peeling paint on the wood. Okay, and single pane glass. Now on the siding, and this is a style, okay? By the way, this is the way they were built in 1964, but with building science, as we learned, this is called a drainage plane. Okay, all walls leak, and you should have a drainage plane. You should have basically a weep screed underneath anytime your wood and any cellulose material or stucco, anytime your siding reaches the foundation. Over here we have weep holes, see? Well, we should have some kind of provision for the water to get out, and obviously since there is no provision for the water to get out, water hasn't gotten out. I get that it was built that way, but in the meantime, the results of the way it was built is water hasn't gotten out, and you can see it in the windows, you can see it all in this over here. Moving along, I don't know what the history is. This is kind of an interesting note. We're going to come along here. So we got our columns within 8 feet. This is good. But these have spun out of place. Now, I'm not Hercules or anything, and it looks to me like it's been caulked into its new location. Okay, this one is spun out of place. Why did these columns spin like this? And I'm not seeing wood rot on them. I'm not seeing signs of failure. But, at the same time, you're going to figure out sooner or later that these columns aren't straight like these columns over here. We're moving on along and coming in, and we're still here. On the exterior receptacle outlets, it's kind of electrical. We do not have a weep screed, remember? We move along on our exterior receptacle outlets. Dig all this stuff out of my pockets. Bear with me, the clumsy inspector. No weep screed. This was par. This was par back in 1964. Today we'd have as was known as an in-use cover. So this is watertight as long as it's closed. But as soon as you plug your Christmas lights into here, now it's open and it's been exposed. I'll be surprised if we find GFCI to this, but let's just try it. And we don't. We do not have GFCI on the exterior. Like the in-use cover, it wasn't required. Okay. But I'm not here to apologize for my work. This front door, by the way, this glass does not have a bug on it. What do you mean it doesn't have a bug? A little label inside. That's what they call them in the industry. All right. So this is not tempered safety glass. If a window in a door is large enough for a softball to go through it, then it should have been tempered safety glass. I get it. Wasn't required. No weep screed. Now see these holes over here? Okay, there's only one reason for holes like that. Alright, somebody was applying product. Applying product? Yeah, applying product. Product is code for poison. Okay? And the only reason you'd put poison underneath next to the house like this, in this location, there is only one single reason for that to happen. Either you just want it to look like you got it means that the house has been treated. It is so significant that this Texas Structural Pest Control Board says that I can use that as a reason to determine that the house has been treated. They're that confident about it. And the only insect that you would drill holes in the concrete like this is for subterranean termites. Now, that could have been a preventative action. Somebody could have been bored and just woke up one day and said, I think I want to spend a couple $1,000s for a termite treatment, honey. Oh, I do too. Okay, let's do that for, it's usually a reaction. It's usually a reaction to a problem. Since it's subterranean termite treatment, it's probably reasonable to assume that this house has been infested with subterranean termites. Now, these holes tell us that the house was treated but they don't tell us who treated it, what they treated it with, nor do we know when it was treated. We only know that it's been treated with subterranean termites by somebody with something sometime in the past. Coming on along our shutters. See, and again, by the way, this screen's missing. So we don't have screens here in the living room. Okay. Saw a screen over there. That window had a screen. This window has a screen. Okay. Moving through here, all these bushes and stuff, they should be cut away from the house. You might as well see what you're paying for. That's the front exterior bib faucet. That's the main sewer clean out. Your water meter is over there. Okay, but all these bushes next to the house, that's conducive to wood destroying insects. Carpenter ants can use that as a bridge to come over here. Termites, okay, they're blind. They go in the shadows. They know they don't want to be found. They don't want to be vulnerable. They sense these things. You get all this food. Next to the house, all that cellulose material in a nice shady area. You're asking, literally, you're tempting fate. Fate loves temptation. Coming over here, we got a planter box hidden back here in all these bushes. Okay, see that planter box? See the high soil in the planter box? Okay, that planter box should be excavated. It should be lined with a mastic sealer filled up. Weep holes should be drilled into the planter box so that it can leak. So basically that's just a trough that holds mud next to your house. Okay, that's called a clue. Over here on our grading and drainage, this is a good spot. You look at the yard. Where does the water go? It goes right on down into here to this big shady termite looking area. All this negative drainage comes right down through here. All these bushes next to your house, you think that's going to be good for your woodwork underneath there? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be good for your woodwork at all. We can see here that we've got soffit vents. Okay, so we're going to be looking for something in the attic. Also over here on our gable ends, do you think we have a weep screed over there? I don't see one. Of course, I'm holding the camera up, so I might see one when I put it on the computer at home. Negative drainage towards the house. Later in the water meter video, I don't do lawn sprinkler systems. I mean, I do inspect lawn sprinkler systems when I'm contracted, but at the client's direction. But that's your weather sensor. It's probably not going to work for you. Just saying. Probably not going to work for you. Moving on along. Right in here. Wood rot. Termites love that stuff. Absolutely love it. Metal panel overhead door. The garage vertical casement is in direct contact with the garage floor, with the driveway floor, the cement driveway floor. Okay? It's called capillary action. It allows water to wick up. Wick up like this? Yeah. That's capillary action causing wood rot right there. And that's a broken sprinkler head right there, so you know you guys have a few issues with this. Okay, moving on along. A tree should not be closer than 25 feet to a foundation. The roots go underneath there, they suck all the water out that your foundation needs. The roots grow and they push your foundation. Later, when the tree dies, the roots rot underneath there, letting termites come in. The tree's branches come down and they rake against your roof covering and cause roof damage. There's lots of reasons why this tree shouldn't be here. And you'll probably want to keep it. I can't do anything about that. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you how it goes. Moving on along, I could have said this on the front porch, but I was so busy talking about sharing my vast knowledge, you know. So, but all the light fixtures should be sealed to help prevent moisture from getting into the wall system. Debris, bushes next to the house, that's conducive these walkways like this, okay? This is beyond the scope of the inspection. I've got flagstone all over my yard. This is hardly worth mentioning to me. You should see the flagstone I have. But this flagstone shares a characteristic with my flagstone, and that it's not dimensionally uniform. And so while if you're a spry young kid, you know, a little mountain goat, you can just like run all over this flagstone. I'd like to think I was one of those. But it's not dimensionally uniform. So if you get somebody that's a little older, like your home inspector, or a little even older than I, or somebody who's, how shall I say, challenged, you know, handy capable, this might be a trip hazard. Moving across here, this is our gas meter. Looks like it's been recently replaced. Look at that. Alright, it's got one of those electronic ones. They can just read it from the street. What do we got here? This is the valve that shuts the gas off to the house. No, that's the city's valve. You have to turn the gas off to the gas meter, turn the gas off to the house. You don't have any options. You should have a gas valve so you could turn the gas off to your house without interfering with the municipality, the gas company, without messing with their meter. Just saying. Coming along here, got some more wood damage up in here. Why? Because it can't leak. Where does the water go? It goes. It starts working its way back up. Moving on along. Now this slab foundation is covered with a Parge Coat, and it's cracking right in here. Look at the siding. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? Or what? Okay, so a Parge Coat. It's essentially a cosmetic coat that's smeared around like cake frosting. And just because the Parge Coat is cracked doesn't mean your foundation is cracked. And just because the Parge Coat is cracked doesn't mean that your foundation is cracked. Here's a main shutoff valve over here for the exterior faucets. You probably got one of these in the front yard. This is the back exterior faucet right in here. Got a broken handle, do not have a vacuum breaker, it's not properly supported, and it's not insulated, and my foot's wet. It looks to me like somebody's come in here, look there, and they're using the the water shutoff valve. They're using that for a ground wire. I just have a little trouble finding that, you know, to be an acceptable application. That's an unconventional application at best. How about that? Isn't that weird? That's really not buried 8 feet. It really isn't. There's a valve on top of that. Now, if you have an emergency and you try, because these are not insulated, and you got a problem with your lawn sprinkler system or whatever, I don't think the lawn sprinkler system's on this valve, but you got a problem and you decided to use this valve, or because you have this valve, you probably got one hidden in the front flower bed. If you use these valves, you're going to end up turning the water off at the meter, like I'm about to show you in an upcoming video, and then you're going to fix the problem that you had, and then you're going to dig this valve up and you're going to replace it, because you tried to turn the water off with this valve and it broke, and now instead of having one problem, you've got two problems. So my recommendation is to either replace the valves, main shutoff valves, or at a minimum, don't use them until you can budget to replace them. Moving on along, we're coming, so see the way this cracking is going here? It's above the brick line, below the brick line. And it's horizontal, it's all the way around here. Most likely this foundation has rebar in it. Okay, most likely the rebar is too close to the edge. And as the rebar rusts over time, it expands and it causes these cracks. I note that you got the cracks. I know why these cracks happen. I can't promise you that's what happened here. I cannot promise you that the rebar was placed too close to the edge in 1964. But this is a symptom of that kind of action. Moving on along, you know, I'm not seeing much in the way of any movement in the brickwork. Now the woodwork, we've got some problems. We don't have a weep screed over here. It's got all this wood rot underneath here. Look at that. Little Bondo in there. Check that out. Looks like a mouse was probably chewing in that at one time. Bushes next to the house. It's conducive. Closed dryer vent. You know, probably needs to be cleaned. Just saying. You know, along the pavers are not. And we got this electric cable coming out here. The little NM cable. Look at there. Need a little dose of electricity. You just come out here and get that. Check that out. This is where we started.